Then we can continue with the next presentation. It's an invited session that will be given by Dr. Utku Kose from Turkey, from Süleyman Demirel University. He's an associate professor in Süleyman Demirel University. His research interests include artificial intelligence, AI safety, optimization, machine ethics, and e-learning. And Dr. Utku Kose will share with us his views, his vision on the role of data science after COVID-19. Okay, please welcome Dr. Utku Kose for his presentation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, dear Professor. I'd like to thank dear Professor Tekir for her kind invitation and introduction for me. And I'd like to also send my thanks to everybody enrolling in Rising that great event of the African Symposium of the Big Data Analytics and Machine Intelligence, and also as well as the TIAN International Thematic Workshop. I'd like to congratulate everybody. So let's move. Because of the limited time, I'd like to move a little faster, dear friends. Yes, I think you are now seeing my desktop. I will start my presentation. Yes, as dear professor also introduced my speech is titled as the data science for the world after COVID-19. I'm an associate professor from the Süleyman Demirel University of Turkey, located in the city of Sparta. So my presentation will include some perspectives regarding how the world will be like after that's everything that's belonging to the COVID-19 issue will end it. So we will all see when it will be ended or it is ending. We will all see. But at least according to the developments in terms of the data science, we can be giving some predictions regarding to the world after the COVID-19 issue. So my presentation will be based on some brief essential information about the data science and the ways of the data science to be applied in terms of the current developments, current real-world problems-based applications, dear friends. And also I will be explaining some important aspects of the COVID-19. Actually, all of us actually knows lots of things about that, and I will forward my presentation regarding to the possible applications of the data science, and we already know some of these applications for now, and I will forward my presentation about some predictive analysis and discussions regarding to the world after COVID-19, and by considering especially of course the applications by data science. And also I will explain some open problems that you may be considering in your research works, in further developments and projects, of course. And at the end of my presentation, I can take your questions, or your questions are all welcome to the question and answers in the chat box in the Zoom environment. Yes, dear professor has introduced me very kindly, and I'd like to pass that slide. I just recommend you to visit my academic profiles if you want to learn more about my research works and more about my papers or projects. So you are all welcome to visit my profiles as well as my personal webpage. And you are all welcome to visit Turkey, my hometown, Afyon, and also the city of Sparta. I'm currently living here, and there are lots of beautiful cities located in Turkey, as you know, and you are all welcome, dear friends. And the Sparta city and Afyonkarahisar, it's my hometown. Afyon is a very historical place, city, and the starting point of the independence war of the Republic of Turkey, as you know. And you are all welcome to visit that historical city with a very big rocky castle inside in the middle of the city, as you can see. And also you are all welcome to visit Sparta. It's very famous with its roses, and also the region of the lakes, which is shared by some cities, a few cities around here. So you are all welcome to visit both cities. I would like to also give you a brief information regarding my university and also departments. As you can see, there is again the sign and logo of a rose over the over the logo of the Süleyman Demirel University. Süleyman Demirel is one of the former presidents of the Republic of Turkey, and he was born in Sparta, so his name appears over that public university. It's established in 1992 and it's known as a large academic institution in Turkey. We are famous with especially agricultural research, medicine, engineering, and also business science. And also you are all welcome to visit our departments. Of course, our department hosts 3 professors, 2 associate professors, and 7 assistant professors with 3 research assistants. We host Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, and PhD degrees, and there are lots of international students coming from especially the Africa region, for example. So you are all welcome to visit our department and also our university. Yes, let's start. What is data science? That question includes many different discussions when we consider the current literature, dear friends, but we can just say briefly, without some detailed discussions and explanations from the literature, we can just say that it's a new form of statistics, which is also associated with more alternatives for processing the data. When we talk about alternatives for the processing of the data, we just visit some more different alternative innovative ways to process data. For example, the statistics and computer science and the intense use of the mathematics and also, of course, the scientific, theoretical and applied foundations regarding the information processing are very important for the data science. And data science, because of that, provides some innovative solutions for dealing with the data, not but by using a direct pure statistics, but using more analytics and detailed data processing efforts to provide better analysis of the data, which is increased day by day, time by time, as you know, and becomes a massive and big data, as you know. So it also deals with the structured or unstructured data coming from the digital environments, as you know, and that is done to understand and make predictions about the facts, events, or other things associated with the real-world problems. So because it's enrolled with many of the different fields, we can say that it's accepted as a multidisciplinary field. And when we dive into the deeper sides of the data science, we can say that it's, of course, includes the pure analysis, quantitative analysis, and qualitative analysis coming from the statistical foundations. Actually, the real world is with the full of the mathematical models and different occurrences which we can make connections with the physics and explaining them in terms of the mathematical models. So the data science, the ways of the data science, of course, includes pure analysis coming from the mathematics and also statistical background. And also when we talk about the current developments, we can be saying that the visualization is very important in order to make the data, especially unstructured data, understandable by the human side, for example. And also, of course, when we talk about the artificial intelligence, when we take a reference to the artificial intelligence and computational intelligence, we can say that there's a great application side of the machine and deep learning, as well as the intelligent optimizations, which is based on the mathematical modeling and having great relations with the data science. And also by using some combinational methods, by reaching to the hybrid methods, we just benefit from the data science to run some effective hybrid methods for dealing with the real-world problems and maybe improving the current known real-world based solutions or the known findings, results, or just making some problems solved with difficult problems and complex problems, of course, solved by the effective and innovative solution waves provided by data science. And also when we consider especially COVID-19, we already know that there are great efforts currently for developments of the vaccines, for example. And actually that's the belonging to the information discovery, and we all being aware about the information discovery provided by the data mining, by the artificial intelligence, as you know. So the discovering a predictive or descriptive data and information by using innovative methods is somehow a very effective ways of applying data science. And when we talk more about the current developments and application sides of the data science, we can say that it's just includes some efforts to be understanding things from data. The data is actually the one of the most remarkable thing. It's the petroleum of the 21st century, as you know, when we consider in terms of the digital environments and all applications surrounding our daily life. So we can say that everything which tends to be understood by analytical efforts are associated with the efforts and applications provided by the data science. Of course, you can be using somehow some intelligence systems or other different maybe mobile applications supported by image processing or other things like machine or deep learning based applications, as you can see from the explanations from the slide. But eventually, actually, all efforts belonging to the data science and, of course, efforts by the data science, dear friends. And we all use the mobile applications or telemedicine applications, for example, by considering the COVID-19, because it's requiring to somehow some remote efforts and remote communication ways to track the patients or make an accurate communication sessions among people. So telemedicine applications are very important in terms of the data science. And of course, when we talk about the Internet of Things, these things actually are increasing day by day. So the future, depending on the smart cities or smart environments covered by the Internet of Things applications. So the data science has very important, remarkable contributions in terms of IoT-based applications. And when we think about the data processing, we can just think something like a system which includes some inputs and outputs and some processing applications in the middle of the input and output scenario. So we can say that the data science includes all efforts by considering the view of the processing, which is done over the input data to reach some output data. When we talk about the machine learning or deep learning, we can say that that's done somehow with some training efforts, which is done with instant data, maybe thinking about the online learning or reinforcement learning maybe, or somehow some samples coming from the past events, past scenarios. So after training our system, we just apply some testing phases to understand that if it is not overfitting or learned enough about the target problem, so we reach to the application side. So when we talk about from the perspective of the machine learning or deep learning, things are just slightly changing to understood the all mechanisms from the perspective of the artificial intelligence. But when we talk about simply from the view of the data science, we can just say that that's all things are just processing the data, the input data to reach somehow the output data. But that's a very simple way to explain everything. Of course, when you deep inside to the applications of the data science, you can be saying that everything is very complex, and also there are lots of efforts to make the unstructured data, for example, to make them very understandable to be applied actually to the processing sites to be reaching to the desired outcome and outputs, for example. But somehow we should be starting from some dealing with the starting points to deep inside. We should be ready to deep inside. So that's all the essential information about how the data science is working in terms of the data processing. And when we talk about the COVID-19, we can say that it's a rapidly spreading virus type, as you know, and it's already become a threat for the humankind, animals, and maybe the Earth. Actually, the Earth is just having some comfortable states because of the humans are not everywhere, and that emergency state caused malicious activities against the nature to be limited or maybe in the causing to be becoming delay. So that may be an advantage for the nature, or maybe that's actually the feedback, rapid feedback by the nature because of the technological developments maybe. But at least that's the COVID-19 is a threat for the humankind and some animals. So it's accepted as the pandemic, as you know, and because of this, it's the way of the being pandemic, and also affecting the massive of the massively affecting the all people living in different regions around the world. So it's associated with the big data when we consider its applications from the view of the big data, for example. So it's all associated with people's actions because it's rapidly spread because of the people's actions. So we should be thinking that the exact data processing is depending on the people actions, they tracking them, and also ensuring massively data tracking operations for tracking the worldwide maybe health state because it's associated with the health state massively. And also it needs urgent predictions, as also dear professor before my presentation has indicated lots of things regarding the especially efforts by the artificial intelligence and also XAI, as you know. So it's still unclear about the treatments and prevention ways. There are many remarkable steps taken so far, but still there are unclear and open problems in terms of the COVID-19, the mysterious regarding to that issue. So all of these things just explains that we should be having a great effort to be using digital tools, to be using data science efforts. And of course, the COVID-19 has caused many different problems, including economical problems, and the health-oriented problems, and lots of unpredicted costs, and lots of the urgent developments causing the economical states of the countries to be become to or decrease to critical levels, as you know. So because the trading system and actually the face-to-face the flow of the people is not like to be that's we experienced around 2 years ago or maybe 1 year ago. So because of that, everything is just coming from the economical state, of course, is causing some lots of problems for the near future, for today, and for maybe the far future. So because of that, the new rules and the new arrangements are just called under the name of the new normals, new norms. So we should be thinking about the world after the COVID-19 with the efforts by the data processing, data science, actually. There are lots of discussions which we can be talked about, but when we briefly just want to briefly give some direct discussions regarding that and some direct predictions about the near future, maybe we can be just talking about some critical titles, which is including the efforts by the data science to be shaping the world after the COVID-19. For example, some of these titles are actually experienced for now, as you know. For example, remote solutions are very important, and medical scientific research perspective is very important to be discussed. And also, especially communication ways, the way of the communication and the way of the validation in terms of data we are using are very important. And of course, the cybersecurity is very important title to be considered when we talk about even current digital equipments and devices, as you know. And the space-oriented works, because there are lots of efforts, as you know, in last a few days, a few weeks, a few months. As you know, there are many different innovative efforts and works to be flowing throughout the space, to be searching for alternatives, maybe for the future of the new generations. But that should be another remarkable title, which is including the use of the data science for the world after the COVID-19. And also, of course, we should be talking about the sustainability aspects to be shaping the world after the COVID-19, which is supported by the data science actually. So when we talk about the remote solutions, we can be saying that the data analytics is very critical. And for the near future, even near future, for the remote jobs, that will be very critical, dear friends, because we are all now performing everything in remote mode, as you know, giving the lectures and giving, for example, such keynote speech I am doing for now, and many things, meetings or other things, and tasks related to jobs are being currently done remotely. There are, of course, different hybrid methods or different solutions, but the future will be probably based more on the remote jobs. Actually, before the COVID-19, there are already different types of jobs which is done remotely, as you know, especially for the internationally done jobs. There are lots of efforts to be doing such jobs or running such jobs in terms of the tasks which can be done remotely, actually. But after the COVID-19, the data science will be a requirement for the analyzing the remote jobs, the performance of the staff maybe, and the completing rates of the jobs, and giving a big perspective or wider perspective for the future analytics for how for understanding how all the tasks are going and how the main job is going through to the output, desired output, for example. So data analytics will be a very critical point for the remote jobs when we consider the data science. And also, of course, there will be, because of the remote function, there will be a massively done variety of the jobs internationally. So massive data analysis for indirect evaluations and contacts among the staff will be very critical when we think about the world after the COVID-19. And of course, remote tracking with the data, remote health tracking in terms of the remote solutions will be very critical, and remote public safety, as we are doing with the GPS systems and the remote communicative systems, for example, will be very critical in terms of data science. And as you know, the distance education in terms of the electronic learning, e-learning will be a very critical in terms of as being the remote solutions, and more data analytics perspectives will be critical to deal with the exact tracking of the learners and also teachers over the remote e-learning platforms. So data science will be having a great potential to be running maybe AI-based solutions or other massive big data oriented solutions to be remotely tracking the exact educational process in order to meet with the educational outcomes when we consider the learner and the teacher side. And also IoT oriented solutions will be very critical in order to deal with all of these things, because we will be reaching to smart environments in order to make many things remotely, in especially the metropolitan cities, for example, like considering the Turkey, maybe like the Istanbul, Ankara, or other cities. There are already different types of smart tools which allows you to perform some remote tasks during the daily life. So these are just giving you advantage to use your time more efficiently and performing your multitasks at the same time. So IoT oriented solutions will be very critical, including with especially more data to analyze, considering the massive data, as you know. And also when we talk about the medical scientific research, massive and personal health research will be more critical for the data science, as you can see, for even for the current developments the humankind is doing for maybe at least 1 year, when you consider at least the last 1 year, dear friends. And also that's very critical thing, that the more open access research and data will be visible, because the journals and the academic institutions and all efforts are going towards the open access strategy nowadays. So that will be very critical because everybody requiring to be taken place in remotely will be requiring the instant and rapid access to the data, to the research. So open access research will be more appropriate for the future of the medical and scientific research, thanks to the data science-oriented efforts requiring that, of course. And also research with massive data and intense medical research on massive data, and also, of course, the improved AI-based solutions for dealing with the complex data will be among the all critical perspectives regarding to the world in terms of the medical and scientific research done by data science after the COVID-19 issue. And robotics-based medical scientific research with more data, of course, will be critical. And international carefully designed data repositories will be very critical. As you know, there are lots of different environments like UCI or maybe Kaggle are very important. Data repositories are very critical for dealing with the especially open access reaching data and performing the remote international projects and research efforts. So the more number of the data repositories, including especially big data oriented outcomes, will be very common for the near future. And when we talk about the communication side, we can say that the more social media environments will be visible, of course. Day by day, we are always experiencing with the more developments, rises of the different social media environments, as you know. So that will be a very common thing. It's already a common thing, but the future will be coming with more things, especially associated with the remote advertisement, data-oriented aid trade, with the interaction with the holograms or the mixed reality things maybe. And of course, the web developments regarding the web, and maybe, for example, the 6G will be a very remarkable thing to process the big data rapidly for ensuring the many different advantages of the remote social media oriented interactions, including the dealing with the advertisements, communicating each other, and data oriented aid trade, and maybe performing the research works, as I've said in the previous slide. So advanced communications technologies will be very critical at this point. Maybe AI-based communication technologies with data understanding capabilities will be very common things for the future. And advanced personal assistants are very critical because while going somewhere, walking to somewhere, or going through via bus or train, we are just dealing with the personal assistants by talking with them in terms of the speech data, or just using some image-oriented processing. We just deal with the daily life problems, tasks. So advanced personal assistants will be very common things when we talk about the data science-oriented efforts. And of course, the future will be associated with the IoT-oriented objects, including the devices, very small devices, maybe sensors, actuators, and including the bigger things like cars and also even smart buildings, for example. So all of things will be combined or covered by the ambient intelligence, which is somehow an advanced form of the IoT-based systems, which is including more intense use of the artificial intelligence. And the ambient intelligence is actually the form of the software-oriented conceptual perspective of such systems running over the hardware components. And the validation will be very critical. For now, even talking about the vaccines around the world, everybody is having anxieties regarding if the vaccines will be safe in terms of the health state, our health state, and if we should be trusting to the health workers and explanations done by the governments and also other authorities, for example. So the validation is very critical. While working over the social media and dealing with the data over the web, we are all having anxieties regarding the validations and validated state of the data and information, as you know. So there is the more intense data validation works for the future, the world after the COVID-19, and the blockchain and also Tangle as an alternative, rapid alternative for the blockchain, and the many other things, more alternatives to come, will be very critical for the future. and decentralized distributed solutions will be very critical. And of course, the human will be in control for the data validation at this point. Maybe the human will be controlled for the validating their capabilities for the data validation, maybe coming on reaching to a paradox eventually, maybe. And the ethical data validation will be very critical, because ethics is increasing its value day by day because of the malicious use of the data, as you know, and the more intense use of the intelligence systems. The ethical data validation is increasing its importance in time. And the validation with the synthetic data will be another alternative, because when we sometimes cannot find the appropriate data to be dealing with the target problem, we require some synthetic data to be used. So the creation of the synthetic data and using that for the validation steps will be very critical when we talk about the validation of the feature of the data for the features of the data science after the COVID-19. And the tracking food, raw materials, and resources will be very critical in terms of the validation, because the current problems will be causing the problems in terms of the reaching to the required food amounts. And of course, as the humankind, we have been already giving important side effects to the earth in terms of the resources by making advanced use of the technologies and making use of technology for eliminating the nature and making something for only us, not for the nature, not for the animals, not for other things, other living organisms, but only using everything for only us. So maybe when I talk like about that in the starting of my presentation, maybe the COVID-19 is somehow some results of that, all of these problems. So the validation for all of these resources will be another critical problem and open way for the future developments. And of course, the machine-oriented massive data validation will be another critical contribution done by the artificial intelligence. And in terms of cybersecurity, that will be very critical, because the features will be full of the common objects. Sorry?
For disturbing, but we are already behind schedule.
Okay.
Can I request to conclude your presentation in a few minutes, please?
Yeah, sure. Don't worry, dear professor. Sure, of course. In around 2 or 3 minutes, yes. Yes, when we talk about cybersecurity, the intense cybersecurity solutions will be very critical for the future, and for real smart objects, that will be a very critical things to be dealing with the data science-oriented solutions in the world after the COVID-19, dear friends. There are many developments regarding the quantum-based solutions, as you know, so that will be very critical, not only for the data processing, maybe for also cryptography, which will be used for the ensuring the cybersecurity for the future tools of the future. So data processing efforts will be more intensely used for the hardware side, not only software side, but the more intense will be forwarded to the hardware side from taking from the software side, for example. So cybersecurity for intelligence systems and the adversarial data, which is for manipulating the machine and deep learning systems, will be very critical when we talking about the data science and the features with the full of the intelligence systems. And also space works as very critical. More communication satellites will be rising, flowing over the Earth, over the atmosphere, and also more different purpose satellites will be visible, like doing by the Elon Musk, for example. And more data-oriented search for remote planets, galaxies are already done and will be doing thanks to the efforts by the data science. And another planet for colonies or future life will be a very common thing to be do for the future. And predictive works for more understanding deeper sides of the space, and the developments for data processing device for space research will be very common thing. And sustainability, as the final title, will be very critical, because the tracking of the vital sources and optimum use of energy and clean energy solutions with data understanding will be very critical. And sustainable data will be a very critical thing, for the future, dear friends. I would like to finish my words with giving some open problem suggestions. Just ensure about the cybersecurity when we talk about the data science, the world after the COVID-19, and you can be considering predictive descriptive solutions and AGI, super intelligence by the artificial intelligence were very critical. I will not talk about them because they are slightly out of my current presentation, but some of my friends listening to my webinars are already being aware of these concepts. And real-time solutions are very critical. Data processing, privacy, sensitive data are very critical. And also consider big but true data for the future of the data processing after the COVID-19 issue. And the ethical issues, unstructured data or vaccine and drug discovery are very important because the future will be very critical for dealing with the many different massive health problems to become, because we are using the technology maliciously sometimes, and it's causing the side effects maybe for nature. So we should be all being aware for that. Yes, thank you very much, dear friends. I hope that's not have become a fast presentation, but you are all welcome to ask your questions, of course. And of course, you are all free to send your questions to my, of course, to my email accounts, dear friends. So thank you very much for listening to me.